layout dealing with. I said, I created 8 points of contact for every person that came into our church, starting in the parking lot.
Yes.
And then the welcoming, and then give them a packet. In other words, I wanted the person to feel welcome. And then I told all my officers and everything, there's a grocery store we had called Hy-Vee, and they had a old saying, a helpful smile in every eye. So, okay, what you're going through that day, let them see you smile. Let them see a personality. In other words, because I think most of it is attitude.
It is.
But if you come, your people come into church and it's all starchy, stiff, and people look like they got the world on their shoulders, it affects them and how they receive the word. So I agree 100%.
Yes.
Welcoming is a welcoming spirit in your church before the sermon even preached. It's going to make a huge difference.
I use that sometimes as even part of my testimony, because before I came to this church, when I was soul searching and trying to find my way, there's a lot of places I went where I didn't feel welcome.
Yes.
I didn't feel like I belonged there, and I didn't want to be there.
Yes.
And so I just moved on.
Yes.
But when I came to this church, I was greeted a certain kind of way. Like, I was in church, so I come from the street, I'm dressed a different way. I used to smoke and drink, but I was like searching and hungry for something else.
Yes.
But I didn't feel like I didn't belong there.
Yes.
And when I came in looking for something, there were people that greeted me, welcomed me, and it just kind of changed my whole mindset coming into the worship service, because there were so many people that greeted me and made me feel comfortable. And I didn't feel like somebody was talking down to me.
Yes.
And what I tell people is that there was so much that came from just the greeting, the ushering, seeing my peers, my people in my peer group that made me feel welcome as well. And then, hearing the songs coming forth, and then to see everybody in tune with the service and really recognizing the magnitude of what was happening. It did so much for me before the man of God even got up to say a word.
See? All those things make a difference.
It helped everything along.
So there's an author, where you were saying that, especially we're talking about your life before you came, Henry Nouwen, and Henry is with an I, and his book is it's about beloved. It's basically talking about the story of the prodigal son becoming home, right? He says now he has been accepted in the beloved, right?
That's
so the
right.
prodigal son, when he returned home, he didn't clean himself up before his father put the signet ring on his finger. The signet ring, the ring that he got, symbolized authority.
Yeah.
Use that signet ring, you stamp something, that's the word, it's sealed, right?
Yes.
The son that stayed home was the one that couldn't accept that. The older son, right? How's the younger son get? Because he wanted his inheritance. The father didn't say, hey, you wanted your inheritance. That meant I wasn't going to be here. But he says, look, bring all these things out, go run out and meet him. Get the fatted calf. Let's prepare a feast and a celebration. That's the welcoming that we should have when people come into our congregation.
Yes.
So, a message popped up. That's all. I'm telling you, it means something to me. So, when I look at this survey, see, it takes us right to this. You're talking about seeker, right? I did a survey on 2 people. One, and I'm gonna kind of move it along just a little, guys, just because I'm trying to keep to.
One of your online participants stated that yes, a welcoming attitude is an outreach tool. Folks will not stay where they do not feel welcome, and that's E. Hartman.
Yes.
Their name.
Thank you. That's what people won't, it took something for them to come there.
Already.
It took something. It took something for them to get out of the car, right, not knowing what they were going to walk into.
That's right.
So I totally agree. It's you just have to do that. It's not maybe we will, maybe we won't. And how you do it, it's a methodology, right?
Methodology.
How you do it will depend on your local congregation. Because they just said, there's a grocery store, and they do all this in the grocery store. Those people are seeing that when they go to that grocery store.
Yeah.
Maybe you don't have that within your community, but what do you have? And what gifts do you have within your congregation? So that brand new person that just walked in the door, they may have a brilliant smile. They may be very welcoming. If we only let them greet the people once they finish this, if they finish, then we kind of missed out on something, right? So we can kind of, help them along in their mission. So the two people that, and these are real people, I just changed one name. I just asked them what they were seeking. So one of them is a stay-at-home mom, married, but as a seeker. I want you to hear that word seeker, because I think that's a misnomer for some people. People may misunderstand what people mean when they say seeker. And the other one is retired. She says, I'm a seeker. This is what they said. This is their language. This one says, seeking a better understanding of what I believe. See, when we see seeker, we're thinking this is a person that has no idea, no knowledge of Christ. That's our thought. But this is how they define themselves. I didn't lead them to that. And was having two separate conversations. She's seeking every day, trying to have a closer relationship and to go higher in the spirit. Would you think seeker and higher in the spirit go in the same? Because when we think of seeker, we're thinking of that person that's unchurched. And not just unchurched and uneducated in the Word of God. So just know you got to talk to people. Because when they say I'm seeking, you need to know, what does that mean for you? Right? Not what I may put on it. This person says, I believe in the Bible and follow the law and the Old Testament. I am still reading the Bible, same as Christianity, but having a different perspective now. Now reads with knowledge, having now better perspective. This is a person that believes the Black Hebrew kind of movement. You need to know this when you're talking to people, because this is not the person that doesn't know anything. But if they're going for the law in the Old Testament, what's missing there? And grace. Grace. The law in the Old Testament was built on what? Works.
Right.
Right? So here's the believes that God is the head of my life, power or source. I own my power to sustain myself. They said they were a seeker, but they still believe that God is the head. So again, you have to unpack what people mean. If our method is, I know what that means. They came in, they said they were a seeker. They probably a ranked sinner too, right? No, because yeah, they probably did. No. But at some point we have to understand what their journey is,
Right.
because they had some type of life before they talked to you, right?
Absolutely.
So this person said the pandemic, my faith was impacted during the pandemic after her husband was hospitalized with COVID. I had to have faith that he would get better. I apply faith to everything now afterwards, such as buying a house and changing jobs. Even her husband changed jobs, okay? And then this person says, has grown stronger due to looking at humanity. These are not people that have no type of basis in their lives, right? But yet they're still seeking. People connect more now. Some things can be eradicated. She's just going down a list. Have more love for people. The pandemic brought more love for her. And I try to help others as we're all in this together. So now let's take a look at this. So now we just met these two people. All right, so it's Sunday morning. And now we get into methodologies. And two people have approached the altar for prayer. Both are seeking a closer walk with God. Okay? How do you serve Sanju? And then how do you serve Vanessa? What's your method today? No, I'm just asking. What is your method? Somebody comes to the altar for prayer. What's happening?
You're trying to see if they're saved.
You gonna see if they're what?
people, generally our method now would be to try to see if they're saved.
So you want to see if they're saved, what does saved mean?
Well, meaning have they, accepted our doctrine and understanding of the plan of salvation. So.
No, you're fine, I just.
I'm thinking that would be our initial, they're coming to us, we want to make sure that they're in right standing with God, that they're getting what they need.
Okay, thank you. Oh, wait, yes, you can quiet, thank
I
you.
think what you said earlier is find out what do they mean by a closer walk with God. Ask and inquire. What does that mean to you? What does that look like? What do you want? The fifth one with more specificity. What do you want? And then sharing with them, with the gospel about the importance of Jesus being in the life and yielding their life to Him and going from there. Because you can't do it at all. You pray from there.
Right, yeah, that's what I'm going with too. Yes, thank you.
But usually people in our congregation will tell me, but a lot of times if it's a newer person, I'll ask them, what is the Lord getting ready to do for you right now?
Okay.
And usually they'll tell me, I was like, the faith that it took for you to come here is the same faith that's going to carry you to the mayor for your blessing. We're going to pray together because God's getting ready to do it.
Okay. Yes.
I just wanted to add what he's saying, and I really picked up on what I think Bishop Younger said, which is so true. Sometimes we just want to throw hands on them, start praying, and slapping oil on them, and they walk away, and they wonder what happened.
Yes.
But have a conversation.
Right.
Yes.
And that's when we talk to them.
Yeah.
Bring out, and I know many have gotten saved just by when they come to the altar, we try to talk to them. And then now, I ain't saying we don't talk about salvation, but you got to get to where they at to bring them to where you want them to be, But if you just start doing baptism and everything, and some people will say, hey, you're being too pushy on this, but you got to get to where they at, because they came up there for something.
Yes, yes.
And that's when you start at, and then you work your way. At least that's how I feel, but I don't know.
No, you're fine.
I think you could serve them one with a new methodology.
Okay.
And that would be, she's a stay-home mom. You could, if you have online presence, you could offer Zoom to her, Zoom services, if I'm on the right vein here.
That's fine.
I mean, that's just one way that you can do it, as well as a retired person. I mean, if they live in some home where they can't get out, all these are newer methods of getting the word out.
And all of you are right. I mean, I was an altar worker before, right? And you got a person, they're coming up, you go pray, you want to see if they're saved or not. But again, those words are our words. If you ask someone, are you saved? I'm like, oh yeah, you know what I mean? So those are our words. But it's how do you serve them? So think for our methodologies and how do we connect and what other things can we do? And that basically took me right here, right? So now you got Eric, you don't know, so I don't even, he could be either one of those, right? But you got Eric, and he's employed, he's a believer. It's Monday, and Eric contacted the church. He's visited before, but recently moved out of state. What do you do to serve Eric? Well, you got into that, right? The online presence. So when we're thinking about what these congregations look like now, because everybody has not run back to the church. Some people are very comfortable staying at home and in their confines to be safe and have just gotten used to that, right? But you have to have different approaches depending on who you have. Can't just always be a one-size-fits-all. Now, do you have to know the approach today? No, but willing and open-minded to think of what can that approach look like. So, when meeting a person isn't an option or doesn't happen, or you did meet them, you didn't get what you need to, seek ways to allow attendees to connect virtually and not wallow in isolation. And people can wallow in isolation if they came to the altar, didn't understand what we were talking about. because, you know, the altar was my last ditch, and I went up there, and now I'm walking back. I've seen people walk back from the altar, you know, I'm like, I wonder, did you get what you needed?
Right.
You know, no fault of anybody, right? But did they really get what they needed? And they can be in front of you and still feel. So our methodology is not so much prescriptive. Traditionally, here we are, church life for a believer can center around several journeys, understanding, so I'm aware now, I need something, right? But this is what we do when we bring them in. We have to mature them. That's your individual growth, that's your Bible study. Then we have to get them involved in ministry. Why? Because we don't want them to leave. That's ultimately, but to use their gifts, right?
Right.
But you try to bring them in and get them incorporated, and then there's some type of duplication. So teach them, show them how to make disciples. Yes. I thought you were going to say something.
Oh,
These
no,
are
no.
online came up.
Yeah, that's-
Oh, what happened? I missed something.
Responders of online.
What, someone?
I agree that trying to understand the individual, having a conversation is important. Yes, they're seeking, but may not be able to articulate what they're looking for.
Yes, absolutely. And how we get ahead of that, guys, is we start becoming a little bit more proactive and try to map out what journeys do people possibly go through, right? So for Sanji, she may be seeking more knowledge, right? She'll go through different phases. I'm going to show you another one that I actually built out a little bit better. But she's going to go through your phases, your phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, if you want to be somewhat linear, right? But understand that within these things, up and down, and it might cruise right back over here. So to give you an idea, people that take insulin, so people that are diabetic, right? They go, they get their prescription, right? They might get the sample, right? But adherence, you know, when they run out of stuff, when they get to that second field, sometimes it doesn't happen. Sometimes they're making choices, you know, has my insurance kicked in? Can I afford this? Do I purchase food? Do I pay my utility bill? So just because we thought they started off one way, they might end up coming back someplace else. And we may have to pick them back up again and continue to work with them. Understanding that people are in a journey will help you do that. So I took Sanji, I kind of mapped her out. This is subject to change. I just wanted something for us to work with. You can kind of think through the people that visit your congregation. You don't have to do a whole bunch of these, but think about who might come, what might their needs be. And the first way to do it is think about your own journey. That way you can collect and have different opinions, right? So Sanji, again, she believes in the Bible, right? She's seeking to have her expectation is seeking to have a better understanding about what she believes. So, you know, the first thing is to understand her, right? So you might want to respond to like a needs survey, give her a survey. What are you looking for? What kind of things do you want in your household? What is it that you need, right? She may shares that she wants to teach others or another person, right? You're like, but if you're at that point, well, she doesn't know anything, you don't stop here. Someplace over here, we give her those opportunities or prepare her. We can't just say, you're not ready, without saying how to get ready. Yes.
It's almost like you can use it for almost every person in your congregation.
You can. You really can, right? And so, thank you, because that's what it's for. So, her path would be, I have faith and knowledge, because she said that. I got faith, I got knowledge. She wants to, you know, to better understand what I believe. So there's opportunities. I didn't fill this out on purpose. Might be an opportunity for what? Maybe a minister to connect with her, right? Maybe someone to sit down with her and understand what it is that there's opportunities for the church.
Right.
And it doesn't have to be just one thing. She needs something a little different, right? She's feeling pretty good, you know. And so now people want to understand my experience because now she's in the maturation phase, she's maturing. So you intentionally connect to teaching. So, it's like, hey, I got someone that knows about that Black Hebrew stuff and then understands Christianity. You intentionally connect it and then follow up. The follow-up is important, right? Introduced to a knowledgeable mentor. There are people in the church that want to be used, and they want to be used more than just being an usher. They want to use the gifts, but a lot of times we plug them into what our needs are rather than what God has equipped them to do because they have a need to do that. Peggy has a need to do a business because she's been equipped like that, right? And then you may ask to volunteer in children's ministry. She got a kid. Guess what'll happen if she goes to children's ministry, if she's volunteering? I used to see children's. You're going to hear the word.
Yeah.
A little differently than what she, but now you see there's ways to do that, right? The opportunity here, because, people want to understand her experience, she might now feel, I'm feeling challenged and unsure. And before, at least I knew, I have faith, I know this, I want to know more, but now I may be feeling challenged. So your opportunities are to gauge her perspective, do a connection between what she knows about the Old Testament and the New Testament. If our Bible study just goes by, today we're going to learn about love, and we spend months on love, that doesn't connect her.
Right.
That's all I'm saying. I'm saying there's other opportunities.
Right.
And you have ministers and people that are gifted within your congregation to partner with you to use their gifts that way, right? And then again, one-on-one connection to the ministry. Now you want to get her involved. She's getting I don't say inculcated or indoctrinated, but she's getting, acculturated to the church, and she's getting involved in the church. You may need to follow up on her understand, and you may need to return to another phase, because now if she's still, I'm feeling challenged and unsure still, right? We might have to come back up on, follow up on understand. Do we really understand what she needed? Do we really help her understand? Okay, and I just need you just to be open-minded with your people. And I think the more we start thinking this way, we'll start acting. You don't have to map out everything. And then look for opportunities to serve based on interest and not just need. Okay? We need somebody to cook the fish. Well, she ain't interested. They ain't gonna get her what she needs to do. This could help her start, and here's the opportunities. Do a teach back. So have her teach you what she knows, because she wants to be a teacher. Okay? You'll understand if she really has that gift too. I know spiritual gift testing can come in here too, but I'm just saying there's opportunities. I just filled these boxes out. You can do whatever you want.
We have a sister in our church that's a single mother of 4 children, and the 4 children was under 10. And when she first came, she didn't get baptized right away, but she came seeking to learn about the word.
Yes.
And so I didn't, hammer her with that. I said, okay, but just keep coming. Keep coming. I didn't want to, say, well, it starts to get back to, this is true. But
right.
If that's what she's looking for, I work with that. I mean, she's a beautiful saint now.
Yes.
It didn't take long.
Yes.
And she just kept coming, hearing the words. They said, I just want to study the word. You know what I'm talking about, aren't you?
Yeah.
Yes.
And now she's saved. One of her children just got baptized yesterday.
Okay.
So I'm just telling you,
It works.
Right. Like you said, knowing their journey and the process. Everybody's process is different.
Everybody's is different, and it's okay. I got like 5 good minutes left. Okay.
I'm sorry.
Okay. No.
I've been interrupting you the whole thing.
No, you're fine. I got to get to the digital part.
Go ahead.
Okay. But I love the questions, right? So you guys can see where this is going. By the time you get to sharing, right, making disciples of others, She doesn't know how to share her testimony.
Yeah.
Everybody has a story. And I go back to Revelation 12 and 11. And they overcame them by the blood of the Lamb and the word of their testimony, and they loved not their life to the death. Right? But to have that level of transparency in our people where they know how to tell their story such that it glorifies God and not self, right? Then they won't overshare. Because God wasn't in the oversharing. You were. So now we got a journey, right? We need to set it in motion. And guess what? Because we said so, that's not how you set it in motion. Okay, can't be knocking the gavel down. This is how we do it here, because I said so, right? We already talked about people nowadays don't want that. But we have to pursue change when there's a good reason to do so. And just resist the impulse to not change, right? It's so easy to say, well, why do we need to? But examine first and foremost and have an open mind and say, we might need to look at things a little bit differently. So you need to assemble the right team. And I went to Acts 6, 1 and 7. When they had the 7, they choked because the widows were not getting the parts of the daily distribution. Some, the Greek widows were getting some, and then the Jewish widows are not getting the same. So the apostles needed to, hey, we need to pass that duty off to somebody else. But they chose 7 men full of spirit and wisdom, so they assembled the right team to turn the responsibility over to them. And then the proposal pleased the whole group. So just because you came up with an idea, know who you're going to have working on the team, because they can tear it up. I'm just gonna say, not trying to be mean, they just don't have what's needed, right? Here it is, full of spirit and wisdom. That's the difference, right? Not, okay, you're nice. These are different platforms. I don't want to stay here, but if you're going, my screen kind of left off. If you're going to use platforms, know why and how you use them. So if you're on Facebook, you can use Facebook as a landing page, like a web page, streaming on it, but it's also for your own personal, right? You just need to understand, if I'm going to use this tool, this is what I'm going to go, I have no time. You need to understand your audience. Most of the time, we push content to people, meaning that we decide, y'all need to know this is an announcement, we're going to push it to you. We don't ask the people, do you want to know it, right? That's pulling it from them. But we push that. We push planned events to them. We push Sunday school topics because we decide, and the blog posts. But there are some instances where you can pull from your content, like they have questions during Bible study, right? Maybe have a Q&A session. These are ways to get people that keep people involved. And again, there's a lot of different platforms and things that you can use. I want to get to the one I really want to focus on is a couple more slides down, but have a willingness to explore and venture into the unknown. That's all. Just be willing. You can always start something, pilot it. It may work, it may not work, but pilot and try it. Websites. That's the first thing. If you don't have one, there are a lot of websites that are out there that are free. It's not a matter of if you get a website, but what you put on that site. The website is a front door to you. And it says, this is what we have in our ministry and how we can serve you. Here's our mission statement. This is who we are, right? Then the other thing is, there are, if you see a tool or something, man, I would like to do some marketing, contact these people, request a demo. They come in and do stuff for free. They'll show you how it works. They'll give you pricing. You can always go to different places for your pricing, right? You don't have to just go with them, but now you know, oh, I know this is available. I know that they'll host this type of a site. I know that we can get this kind of marketing. Determine what it is you need, and then go out there and shop around. You don't go buy a car and say, I'm gonna buy a car. and the first dealership you see, drive in and buy one, right? You pretty much knew what you wanted. But the final one that I want to get to is this one, virtual reality. This, you'll have this as a video. Guys, the young people use virtual reality all day long. You do know that, right? And we
Kids at
can't,
home probably doing that.
that's right. But we can't be afraid to use virtual reality, right? We can't be afraid of avatars. We can't be afraid to meet people in the virtual space. If somebody was interested in running a pilot and wants to do that, talk to me. I have somebody I can connect you with, and we can see about setting it up. Just so you see, how can we use this virtual space? Maybe we can use this virtual space for training. You know what I mean? Training in how to be an altar worker or whatever. But that's a virtual reality space right there. That's by a Christian company. Black man, Christian. That's what he's doing, but for like other larger organizations too.
Awesome.
So don't be afraid of the digital space. We were on radio. Bishop talked about this in his opening. You know, it was a long time ago. We ain't been on TV. We're not going to do all that's the devil, right? And others snatched it up and moved it much further because we were afraid of the unknown. This is something, so even the author, Peter DeHaan talked about it. He says he actually conducted a survey of 31 churches that had an online presence during the pandemic. He found one that had this kind of virtual space that they set up, right? And so from there, he said, well, you know, not a lot of people are using it, but he put it in his book to kind of plant the seed. So I hope I can plant the seed on that one too for you guys today. So quite simply, you can always plot out your plan, determine, you know, if you're going to run a pilot on something like this, or on a website, on any of the things that we've discussed, on mapping, on writing your mission statement, and test it out and see, does it work the way it is, or do we need to come back and tweak it, right? Think about how long you're going to run your pilot for, right? And it's very important here to keep your audience and the preferences in mind. Oh, we do know that the Holy Spirit is leading and guiding, don't we? So I'm not leaving that out because I think that's very important to say. But as you're doing this, don't just think it's from you, right? And just you only. Then after you do that, evaluate your plan. Did we just use it on people just like us that like just what we like? Or did we have other people in the church that don't ordinarily sit in our group be part of our planning process? They have a voice too, right? And did the pilot run as planned? Did the audience think that the pilot was helpful? Did it serve their needs, right? Are they willing to continue? So it just takes some surveying people. So the conclusion is basically I kind of took you through this, but we spent a lot of time here because if you're only doing it the way you've always done it, because this is how we do church, without considering the people that God has given you to minister to, what their needs are, how you can best serve them with what you have in your congregation, how you can bring in others that are there and use their spiritual gifts, right? That you say sitting on, they know they're not sitting on, they need to have opportunity. That's all, that's a difference. And then set it in motion. After we thought about doing all these, it would be nice. No, just do it. Run a pilot. Again, I'm here. I'm going to be your contact person. I just realized that this morning when I was sitting there but I won't be your contact person. If anyone wants to run a pilot, build out like a virtual reality thing, this is not something that you can do on your own because it's very expensive. But we can help you with that, right? And just kind of move you in the right direction and help people understand how churches work as well. Let me know. If you want to do a website, let me know. And I'm happy to point you in the right direction with anything that I have. My goal is to, see people thrive And that's our congregation. So here's your next step. You'll have your resources. And that's all I got. Let me see, I went over a minute. Sorry. Thank you for the opportunity to serve. Aww.
All right.
Thank you.
So how would you get our, sorry.
No, you can
How would you give us the information, or transfer the information?
Can you give me your email addresses?
Yeah.
So if I can,
You want us to write it down or something?
yeah, do you have anything back here? No,
I mean, you can have this paper.
Yes,
I can
please.
pass it around. Yeah.
Okay, yes, if you don't mind. So if you don't mind, just put your name on there. I have templates that I'll put in the email and send out to you. You're free to use the slide deck. It's not mine, I built it, not me, but you know what, all the glory goes to God, right? So, because that's my spiritual gift. No, that's my gift, dude, yeah.
You know, one, point that you made
They're commenting on.
Oh,
that I did appreciate
You
was
gotta
the,
give them their emails too.
yes. Can we get the emails in the chat from the folks online? I can send it to
So
them.
how do we get access to this presentation?
That's when.
He's gonna send the list around and put your name and your email address on it. I will send it to you. I promise I'll send it by tomorrow. And the templates. And you'll see stuff you didn't see.
Okay.
And if you have questions, you'll see my name and everything, my contact info. I'm Elder Carla Jones with a K. You will see my contact information. I'm at King and Apostolic Ministries in Indianapolis Bishop's Church. So, yes.
no, I was just saying, I did appreciate one suggestion that you made, survey.
Yes.
Which is really good, because what you find is that when you're trying to delegate tasks, you have the same people that are in multiple ministries that are doing everything. And it's hard to kind of put people in places where they would be most used. And like you said, where they can actually use their talents and their skills, because, you know, everybody doesn't want fried chicken, you know. You know what I'm saying? And they have more, you know, as far as experience, education, I mean, things that they can offer. But it's difficult to kind of,
So you kind of
utilize more.
survey, huh? It kind of makes.
yeah, I think I'm gonna really take that one back to the
As far as sizing too, like they want to
Yeah.
respond, kind of, they're humble, right? They're out there.
This
And
is
plus,
mine. Go
a
ahead.
lot of times, people don't, the same people are doing it because they're kind of pushy. That's what I saw.
They're
Right.
doing,
It's what other people don't.
they're task driven, and they wanna do it, and they see the need, and they keep going,
Mhm.
but you spread yourself too thin,
Mhm.
and you have all these other people that lean and look to the other people, they'll do it, it'll get done.
It's the 20-80%, right?
Yeah.
20% of people do 80% of the work. 20% of the people get 80% of the fun.
Yeah.
Honestly, I get an opportunity at our church, thankfully, to work with a lot of our new members and teach them in a new member Sunday school class. And I teach them about our ministry and the different things we have to offer. And I like to get to know them. There's that tab there. And hopefully they get to understand what their gifts and talents are, their background, their education. And I always tell them, I'm sure that you have gifts and talents that you can have an active role in sharing right away. And then I try to take the time also to introduce them to the different leaders from the ministries within our church, especially if I get to know them and know that, you know, they're married or have a family or they come from some kind of background, then the ones I get to try to introduce them to right away are areas that can help them reach their potential, help teach the children, be beneficial to them as a woman or a mother. I said, well, let me introduce you to this person because they're over a ministry that can benefit you. Or if you have this gift or talent, you might be able to use it in this ministry. But I also tell them, you know, don't be afraid to let God take you out of your comfort zone, because where you begin may not be where God wants you to stay at. And so, you know, so let's introduce you to all these different ministry and ministry heads that are, and see where you fit in, but don't be afraid to grow.
Thank you. Did everyone that needed science? You guys have been an amazing group, and I appreciate you all.
You're an amazing teacher.
Amazing teacher. Fire. Takes an amazing teacher.
Yes.
No, you need to acknowledge them.
My Zoom audience, thank you all. Again, I told you I had an amazing host with me, my tech and such, so she's keeping me honest, but I so appreciate the questions. I appreciate the time that you took to come. I will make sure, as everyone else here is getting a copy of everything, you have a copy too. And I'm your point person. I'm more than happy to help you. So we're signing off, guys. Thank you so much. Bye.
Yeah.
Let's see.